Hey, this is zZzTILT for headsupsitandgo.com. I'm here today with phl500.
Hey guys.
And we're making a leakfinder video for the player phl500. He plays the $15 Hyper Turbos on Poker Stars. Alright, let's jump right into it. First hand we have ace-8 suited, standard raise call. My range would be probably something like ace-8 offsuit, ace-7 suited. Totally readless. Pick up king-jack suited. Go ahead and 3-bet to 90, and we would also call a shove. King-jack off on the other hand I would only flat, as I think it's a bit too weak to 3-bet call against the average opponent, and I really hate to 3-bet fold, so I prefer to flat with king-jack off, as it plays really well post-flop.
So what do you think about opening the 4 deuce on the left table?
Yeah, I really like it, and I think a lot of people are missing out on those open raises. Because it's definitely profitable to play 100% against the average opponent. My expectation of min raising and limping those trashy hands is both better than folding, so I really need a good reason to actually fold those hands.
What reasons would there be, for example?
Yeah, so if I would get 3-bet light, I would start limping those hands and stepping a lot of flops, and only if villain is 3-betting light and also raising my limps wide, and by wide I mean like 35-40% or more, then I would actually fold those hands, like those trashy hands.
Alright, cool.
So gonna see by that flop. Can also go see bet a little bit smaller, as we have like no equity and the board is paired, but 40 is fine as well. And we have a double paired turn. And hero decides to double barrel. What do you think about that?
I don't like the double barrel on that turn, because if we go back and think about villain's range on the flop, I would say it's like 9x and 6x. Obviously, he could have 7-8, but I mean 7-8, he's even check raising in some cases there. And also ace high, king high obviously, and some random floats and gut shots like 10-7 or 5-7. And yeah, as Matt said, we have a double paired board now, where ace high and king high even improved, and I think nobody nowadays, or even rarely, folds ace high or king high on double paired boards. So a 6 and a 9 obviously is calling here, and we can only fold out his gut shots and floats, and this is really not enough, a big enough part of his range to bet here, so I just tend to give up here.
Yeah, I agree. We're just trying to fold out too narrow of a range there, so I would just give up as well. What happened on the right? Let's rewind a bit. So we open raise 7-6 off and see bet a flop, which is fine. And on the turn we hit flush draw. And here decide to double barrel this board. Yeah, I also don't like to double barrel this board, especially with the 7 of diamonds, as we now have some equity against like a queen or a weak ace. And also I think the range we're trying to fold out is just too narrow again. I mean, queen x is never folding, or really rarely. He may have some low ace x, and also he may turn the flush. And even hands like king 10, jack 10, king jack, like those hands oftentimes picked up additional equity, so I just try to prefer to check behind there and try to hit the flush, or just give up unimproved. But we hit, which is nice, so no reason to bet there, just check behind, and we're good against jack 10. On the left with the jack 3 suited, for 21 big blind, you can either go ahead and 3-bet non-all in, or you can flat. Think both options are viable, but I wouldn't fold there. I think it's just too bit on nitty. Raise for the queen 3, raise the jack 3, bet for value. Again we pick up a flush draw on the turn. Here again I would just check behind. We actually have some showdown value here compared to the 7-6 hand. So I really hate to bet fold there, as we don't have the equity to bet call. I mean, we could bet something like 120 and then we have the odds to call, but I just prefer to check behind and try to get to showdown. On the other hand, if we have something like jack 5 with the jack of hearts, then I would go ahead and bet.
Yeah, agree.
On the left, you could go ahead and donk the flop. try to see how villain reacts, whether he just folds after he limbed. A check definitely fine as well.
Yeah. What do you think about donking the turn now, or betting the turn now with a turn gut shot?
Yeah, if we don't bet the flop, I would definitely go ahead and bet the turn. I mean, villain limbed and he checked behind that board, so it's definitely a weak range we face here. And we picked up additional equity with the gut shot, plus our 9 oftentimes is good. So I would go ahead and bet something like 30 there and try to pick up the pot.
And then betting most rivers, I guess.
Yeah, I think if he's calling again, I mean this range again is pretty weak, so I would just bet any turn besides like a river pairing the board.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, so here it decides to actually bet this river. What do you think about that?
I don't think a bet match made that much sense there, because you're basically folding out like nothing. Even queen high is calling, any pair is obviously calling, and misdraws like 6-7 we have beat anyway with our 9 high. So for me, I don't see a reason in betting that river.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the only hand we may follow is Jack 10, but I mean that's just a little of a range. Yeah, I would just give up as well. Stack off with the ace-9. Fortunately we run into a better ace. On the right we get min 3-bet with the 10-4 suited. 25 BBs, I would just call any hands with these good odds. 10-4 suited is definitely good enough.
Since we didn't check now, what are you doing if you c-bet here on that board with your bottom pair?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I would just go ahead and fold if he bets like 60 or more, as we only have bottom pair, and this is a board which gets barreled a decent amount of the time, and we also may be crushed already, as he may decide to play like over pairs that way. If he bets smaller, like 50 or less, I think I would peel one card, try to get a showdown. We're still beating like ace-10, ace-king, ace-queen, maybe he has like 10-9, 10-8, something like that. But I would still give up to further aggression.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, so he checked, and I agree with the bet here. Sizing is fine as well. I mean, if he folds, that's not too bad. We are on a bottom pair, and we can still get some value from like the high aces. So yeah, that's good. The 6-5, he faces a limb, check behind. And we hit bottom pair. Theo decides to check here. What do you think our options are here, Phil?
Yeah, we have several options on the flop. I think I prefer just to check call here, because we have a pair with a gut shot, so kind of a decent hand. The problem with check raising here is we can't really check raise call. We have good equity in the hand, so in case we are check raising, we have to check raise fold, and I don't really like to check raise fold in that spot. Third option would be donking. I like donking if we have a specific read that villain is checking back most of his overcards or most part of his range. So I'd like a donk bet here to get some value from his high cards.
Yeah, but readless I check call as well, I agree.
Now with the 4 we picked up an open ender with our pair on the turn, and now we really have to bet for value here. I mean, like villain could have 5x, 8x, like Jack 10, and other high cards. He's floating here and maybe checking behind if we check to him. So yeah, definitely mandatory bet for value with like sizing as 30 or 35 I would go.
Yeah, I agree. And if he actually decides to fold like those overcards, it's not too bad, because we fold a decent amount of equity share. And what do you do if he gets raised?
I think it's a fold here for a raise, because villains are rarely bluffing on those kind of boards. So I'm happy with bet folding here and not talking me into like a call or something. I just bet, and if I get raised, I snap out of the hand.
Yep, perfect. So here it decides to bet, which is good, and the river is an ace.
Interesting river card actually. As for betting, for me betting doesn't make any sense on that river, because the only mate hand we are beating here is 4x. So I would more likely check here to give villain the chance to bluff all his missed draws. And on top the ace is probably the good card in his eyes, because you think it's a good card to bluff. So yeah, I think if we check here, he can bluff all those 5x, 8x, Jack 10, and whatever. We can just check call and pick up the bluff.
Yeah, and also most villains want value bet a 7.
Yeah, exactly.
And also he checked behind, so it's not very likely to have a 9. So basically it's a pretty easy check call when you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we check and let's get checked through and we're good. Ace 9 suited, raise, get a fold.